I'm going to call this meeting to order if I can, please. I don't see any audience. I don't guess we have no audience to have us talk to us. So we'll move on. Minutes of June 27th meeting. Can I have a motion for that meeting?
So moved.
So move a second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion, any additions or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor, somebody saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much. Okay, now we move on to the big sessions here. All right, Latimer Lane renovation is our 4 items here we got to talk about. Item number 1 is the Arcadis report. And there's some guy from Arcadis, I think his name is Jack something.
Something like that.
Or did he run? John, so he ran away, I think. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is over there. He got red on now. Hey, John, how you doing?
Good.
Go ahead, talk to us.
I'm looking for the share screen button. Here we
I
are.
can't find, yeah, sure, I can't find your report.
Jason, can I have sharing privileges, please? Okay.
There we go. Good.
There we go. Latimer Lane for the month of June. And thank you to Tecton for coming up with a nice image that I was able to steal to
Wow,
make
that was very nice.
a better cover image on my report.
Yeah.
As presented here, we've made some good progress in the month of June. We did receive confirmation that the grant was issued, of course, in the priority list, but we have not yet received the letter from the state. They're running a little bit behind on issuing the actual grant commitment letters. We talked about at the June meeting that the Board of Finance had given us the green light for up to $1.3 million additional, with the caveat that we'd have to go back to referendum to spend it. When we presented that fact to the Office of School Construction Grants, they said, well, that's nice, but there's nothing that we're going to do until everything is done. So again, reinforcing the logic of our going out to bid and coming up with the true number. So they're not, even though it sounded like they might do an interim step for us at the state level, they've since pulled that back, and they're going to wait until we present a formal request with a final confirmed number.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Value management efforts and bid alternates are obviously being incorporated into the final set. Pencils down from Tecton was last week, and the estimates are the next step in the process. We have, as far as professional services agreements, in the special meetings agenda for June 27th, proposals from Arcadis, Tecton, and ONG were provided to you to review for covering the additional pre-construction services for ONG and for Arcadis, and for the additional 6 months of construction duration for Tecton and Arcadis.
I thought we had to prove all those at that meeting.
They were in your packet for study, but they were not an action item for discussion.
All right.
So perhaps as part of tonight's discussion.
Yeah, I don't have that package, so that's the problem, but okay.
I can put it up on the screen.
Yeah, okay, we'll take one at a time. Go ahead, keep going.
All right, we did have our special, we did have our special meeting. We approved the procurement phase, 100% documents were on schedule and did meet the schedule. Tecton can talk about that. Our environmental consultant, TRC, has provided the report for the phase 2 site analysis. Although there were some things that they detected, some of which they're addressing as, and there was asphalt mixed in the sample, so no wonder we found some hydrocarbons. They found that there was nothing that was actionable where we needed to do what was called a phase 3, which is an actual remediation plan. So the phase 2 report for the site environmental study is going to be incorporated as an information item in the bid documents, so that the site contractor can know what he's going to encounter, and the expectation is that we'll be able to use it, for instance, under parking areas, and not have to incur the cost of taking it off site. Although if he takes it off site, they'll know what it is that they're dealing with. So that was good news, that we don't need to do an actual remediation, site mitigation effort. We had our, as I mentioned, our our plan review meeting for the procurement phase was held on June 29th. We're still waiting for the letter from the state, but we're expecting that as early as sometime this week, we should get that green light, and then O&G can go out to bid. And the commissioning 50% review was issued to the design team so that they could incorporate their comments into the 100%, and then the commissioning agent will do another review with the 100% working drawings to do a back check that their comments have been picked up. And the other facts and facets can be studied by O&G and Tecton as they give their reports.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Any comments from our committee? Any questions? Okay, do you want to move on to Tecton, or do you want to go with that, you're getting your approval for your increase or for your pre-construction?
As we seem to still be sharing, I'll go back into my files. We have three proposals: Arcadis, Tecton,
Yep.
and O&G.
All right, let's save them for the end if we can come back to it, okay?
We can, okay. Then
We'll
I'll
do
just,
under the invoices reports, so it'll all be done at one time, if you
All right.
don't mind,
then
okay.
I'll stop sharing. We can carry on.
okay? Tecton, you're next.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Just to piggyback on what Justin Hopkins, Tecton Architects. We also have Brian Hamill from CES Engineers
Yep.
as part of the design team. Just to piggyback on what Jack had mentioned, the early procurement phase 1 of 3, we had our meeting on June 29th with OSC GNR. We met it. There were a couple items that Mr. Selmer asked us to update. We updated them over the 4th of July weekend and delivered them on July 5th and held a meeting that afternoon. At the conclusion of that meeting, Mr. Selmer appeared satisfied and indicated to us that he would put the approval to bid letter in the queue. So as Jack mentioned, we're still waiting for that. As far as the construction documents, this signifies, these were complete the end of the day Friday. They have gone to the cost estimators at O&G and our independent cost estimator at PAX. We will also use these documents to coordinate page turn with the local authorities having jurisdiction, including the building official, fire marshal, and health department. As part of the PCR approval, we need their signatures and their approval on both the project manual and the drawings. So that is part of the PCR coordination that we are doing contemporaneous to the cost estimation phase. We have also issued our Revit model to O&G so that they can start their clash detection analysis as part of a third-party review. Jack mentioned the commissioning agent third-party review. And over this time period, O&G will ostensibly be developing the bid packages to ultimately go out to bid. That's necessary because as part of the PCR coordination, we need to list things like allowances and where contingencies are in the cost estimate as part of our scope of work narrative to the state. Additionally, we'll note that we met with Lucian and Mike Egan last week, Wednesday, as part of a Tecton and CES review of the progress documents. There were some comments that arose at that particular meeting, but those comments have been addressed and incorporated into the construction documents. So.
Okay. Any questions, comments, remarks on the Tecton report? Hearing none, we'll move on. If we can move on to O&G first before we go to our billing and review, if we could.
Sure.
O&G.
Yep. Good evening. As Jack and Justin both said, we made it through the state process, so I won't belabor that. Relative to the construction document estimate, we do have those documents, actually printed up and in-house as of today. So our intention there is to have that estimate done right about July 25th. That's 2 weeks from today. And then we're going to be, the week of the 25th, we're going to be doing estimate reconciliation with Tecton and their estimator, so that we're ready for that meeting the following week. A couple other little things that are happening are our superintendent, Matt Olszewski, was on site last week. Spent a little time with Mike Luzetti, just kind of going back over again things from a logistical standpoint, kind of continuing the discussion there. And then we're having a review on site with, now that we have the hazmat information, with TRC to just review those documents and see how they dovetail into work in the existing school. Certainly as we work on phasing plans and things of that nature for the bidding documents. So that's really it as far as new business that wasn't brought up update wise from Arcadis or Tecton.
Okay. Any comments or questions of O&G at this point? Hearing none. Okay, John, can you go back with your on-screen and we'll go over your increases for the three firms?
Sure. All right, do you see me sharing?
Screen sharing, Jason?
Did it? Let's see. That should work now.
There you go.
All right. First item in my queue here is Arcadis's proposal. As requested, we presented it, relative to monthly costs, in case there was some further slippage, which we don't anticipate. Arcadis's 6-month pre-construction effort ran through the end of March. So we're asking for April, May, and June as pre-construction phase at our standard flat rate that we've been billing of $13,750. That equates to $41,250 in total.
Yeah, well,
for
$13.70 a month.
Yep.
$13.750 a month. Right?
$13,750 a month times
Yep.
3.
Yep.
For construction phase services, our negotiated contract lump sum was for 18 months. To extend it to 24 would be our flat rate of $12,318 per month. That was based on our contract.
Yep.
So 6 months at that rate is $73,908 for an aggregate cost pre-con and construction of $115,158.
Okay.
And in retrospect, I should have put subtotals and totals on here for your convenience, but I did not do that.
Any questions, comments? Okay, I think we should approve these in 2 sections. Approve extended pre-construction phase 1 and vote on that. Then I'll then go vote on the extended construction phase. Okay. That
Fine.
agree with everybody? Okay, can I have a motion? Do we extend pre-construction phase 1 services of Arcadis at $13,750 per month for 3 months?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, then next vote would be for the extended construction phase services of Arcadis. Proposed 24 months, requested 18 months at a total of $12,318 per month. Do I hear a motion to accept?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Okay, so carried. Okay, that takes care of that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next up, Tecton's request is also for construction phase services, but construction phase alone, to increase from 18 to 24 months. The negotiated rate for construction phase services divided out works out to a monthly rate of $21,846 per month. 6 months of that equates to $131,076.
We have a motion to accept.
Wait, I'm just curious, what's included in that for the contract? It's contract administration, what else?
Yeah, these are the agreement sections, evaluations of the work, which is field visits, monthly requisitions, submittals, any change, reviewing change orders, and then obviously carrying through to project completion.
If I can jump in here, this is the total project team. that is associated with Tecton. So it includes civil, engineering, landscape, architect, structural, and mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection.
Okay. So I'd like to have a motion. Do we accept the fee proposal for additional services from Tecton in the amount of $131,076?
So moved.
So move. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved. Okay, very good. Take care of that one. All right, the next one is who?
Okay, next we have O&G for extended pre-construction services. Dave, would you like to speak to your matrix?
Sure. So what I tried to do here was basically compare the breakout we had given in our proposal to the new. So while we didn't want to necessarily just say, okay, well, if you divide out what it is per month, because there were some concerted efforts, like the estimates, that we're not adding any more of those estimates to the project. So we didn't want that balloon type of labor to hit the report. So to filter that out, we tried to take all the net differences. What did we have initially? So the top part of the screen is the updated schedule of where we believe the trajectory is. You'll see on the top there was that 1 month space where there was that contract negotiation. So we're not trying to bill for that 1 month that we were not in service. And then the proposed schedule is the second section down. So then below that is essentially the net difference. So like you'll see, mainly it's really added costs for the project executive, myself, and our pre-construction manager, just for the added time within there. I believe, Jack, if you scroll down just a little bit. Yeah, so the total there comes out to $110,758.25.
And that gets us through what?
That basically gets us through establishment of the GMP in November of 22. So that's all the way through pre-construction, contracts awarded.
Okay,
Because the duration of construction has not changed for us. It was 24 and it is still 24.
okay, so will this be broken down monthly?
So what'll happen is, essentially because what we were doing was our pre-con, I believe in our proposal, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, our pre-construction is aggregated, and then we say it's billed at an amount of X dollars per month. And that's
Right.
essentially what we've been doing. So what I could do as a follow-up to this, Dick, is just kind of give like for the months going forward, I can give you a schedule of what those billings will be so that you can see the difference in months. So that way, when those invoices come in, you can track them back.
That's
Unless
what I
we
was
just
gonna
take
say,
that,
yeah.
unless we just take that revised balance, including this from now till November, and just do an equal billing each month. It's really,
That would be my suggestion, that we take the remainder under the original, add this 110 to it, and then divide by the remaining months. It's just easier from a billing standpoint.
Okay, then we need a motion that the ONG take and add this 110,558.25 to the existing, and then divide it by your monthly and bill us monthly for those charges. Is that correct?
It's 110,758. Do we need the 25 cents there?
Whatever, go on. It's on there.
no, I'll give it to Aaron myself. I'll throw it into Aaron myself. It's all right.
I'm just curious, what was the pre-construction number originally?
Um,
It's quite a bit
I'd
more.
have to jump off screen.
yeah,
to-
if just give me 1 second, I can call up the
Goes
proposal.
way back. Yeah,
Yeah, because that was a lump sum. And then
it was.
Yeah.
It was, bear with me 1 second. Pre-construction fee for 7 months was $175,500, but included in that was a $40,000 allowance. So it was technically $135,500. for pre-construction services.
For 7 months.
Correct.
And this is adding how many months? We're adding,
Five more months.
Five more months.
okay. So it's pretty close to the same number.
Kind of the same number, yeah. Okay, well, so that, everyone agree?
Oh, well, I guess I got a question. How come some people are adding 3 and some people are adding 5? Which one's right?
From Arcadis's perspective, we were not. I'll be straight with it. We were not technically contracted for bid
Right.
phase services, but I know we need to be here, so we will be here. And we agreed internally that with the fees that we were getting for pre-con, we would live with that until construction started. So the intervening bid phase months, you're not going to see a bill for me. You're just going to see these 3 additional pre-con months. But assuming that we have, July, August, September,
Get the project rolling.
for bidding and evaluation of awards. Again, we'll be mobilizing in November, but we should be ramping our field staff in. We transition our field staff. Once the bids come in, we start getting our people up to speed. So that's all factored into our approach. That's why you don't see the additional months. And Tecton owned the design and bid phase. The only variation in Tecton's proposal is the construction phase.
Right. Any other questions? Hearing none, do we move with this movement? We hear a motion to go ahead.
Yeah, so moved.
Is that second?
Second.
Second. Okay, any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, that takes care of that. Now we have 2 more items on this agenda. We have an invoice dated 6/30, invoice number 45238 from Tecton in the amount of $139,568. For a motion to approve?
Yeah, so moved.
So move. Second? Do I have second?
Second.
Second. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay,
Be quiet.
Next item. I'm sorry.
No, I was talking to the cat was to shut up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Next item is ONG invoice. Their invoice number is 571716. Invoice date is 6/27 for the amount of $19,357, our normal monthly payment. I have a motion to accept. Motion to accept.
So moved.
So move. Second,
Second.
second. Comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Okay, that takes care of the agenda. The next item on the agenda, which is not on your agenda, would be our next month's meeting, which is August 1st. And I know John and I talked about this. It may be a special meeting in between then. But until we get dates from the state and from ONG and our bids, John, correct me if I'm wrong here, we go with the August 1st date. If worse, we can change that date as a special meeting by emailing everybody and say we change it. John, you have any comments?
As Dave, as Dave mentioned, the estimators are at work right now. We've got a proposed or a scheduled estimate reconciliation meeting penciled in for the 27th of July. It might be a squeeze to get everything coordinated in order to present the package to you for approval that we would, just like we did with the procurement phase, we would need to come back to you and the Board of Ed for permission to go to the state for their review for bid. If it looks like it's going to be too tight, rather than tie you up with another meeting in the middle of the summer, we might shift the August 1st meeting to a later date. Perhaps the following week, and then save you the second trip through the process later in the month.
Right.
Yeah,
Mike, you had a question.
Yeah, I'd like to request that we get a week to review the 100% CDs and reconciled estimate before we meet. It's
Good
just
point.
a lot of information to review and vote on.
Good point. Yes.
I guess my only concern would be, is the second or third week of August particularly bad for the committee, or as far as coming up with a quorum?
I won't be here the second week of August.
I don't think we want to push it as far as September, but
Jack, when you say the second week, are you talking like August 8th or whatever that, or are you talking about the 5th, actually the 15th?
the 8th, the week of the 8th.
Okay, I won't be there, but Mark will be there in my place, sure. If that's when it needed to be.
That sound okay, Mike?
I don't know when we're gonna get all this information, but
Yeah, that's the
it'll
problem.
take
None of
more
us
than
do
a
it this
day
way.
to get it. So, I mean, we can be flexible. I think it's important to have everyone there, but
Well, as Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, if I believe we can make the 100% documents available to the committee at this point, correct? It's
Yeah.
just the estimate they'd be waiting on.
Yeah, it's a quick read. The specification is only 2,500 pages, and the drawings are only 232 drawings. So yes, well,
did you highlight the Easter eggs for us?
I'm sure there will be Easter eggs. But no, we can make those available.
Thanks.
Again, by contract, ONG's got 2 weeks to produce the estimate,
Right.
and then we start the reconciliation process. So if we can get that link out to the members, you've got at least 2 weeks to look at it, plus reconciliation time, to when the estimate hits your inbox.
John, when we were talking last time, there'd been some discussion of how long we needed contractors to hold open their bids, considering we have to go to referendum before we can get anything approved. Has there been any more consideration to that schedule?
I have not received any information yet as far as what the town envisions as a timeline in order
Right.
to do that process. So if we came up with, say it was, August 1st, we came up with, or September 1st, we came up with, a magic number, having had bids in, which of course will be a little on the ambitious side. But, just for conversation, if it was September 1st, we knew the number was X, how long would it take to warn and hold a vote? And I'm still trying to get that
Yeah, we
answer.
need to work with the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen in order to schedule a referendum. So the key issue right now is getting the numbers from ONG. That's the key right now.
Well, no, because we can't get the numbers until we know how long we're holding the bids open, because how long we're holding the bids open is going to affect what the numbers are.
So Ryan, if I could just chime in on that a little bit, our thought on this was that there are a certain, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought there was some discussion about moving some of the critical
Yes.
contracts along, so that, while if we take
started.
the bids and we come in over budget, but it's within the realm of what we had been anticipating through the estimate process, that is the intention that the committee will approve some number of contracts to
Right.
move forward so that work can commence, while you then go through referendum to get the remaining funds you need to award all the rest of the contracts.
Right, and we call them addendums.
I have no problem with that if that's going to be kosher with
That's-
the state, because I don't know if once we start digging dirt and laying concrete, we're building the building either way. And if we're not authorized for FF&E at the end of it, we're going to have a building with nothing in it. So I don't know how the state's going to feel about that process. I have no problem.
So, right, the
We've done that
state is
before.
before we do anything, the state is going to have to, after our PCR, is going to have to give us approval to go to bid. And
Right.
typically that approval to go to bid also says bid and award, unless there's some outlier of information that they're waiting for that we have to provide them. We can usually lobby and say, listen, at least let us go to bid. And in these 4 weeks of bidding or so, we'll get you that piece of information. And then they'll say, okay, you're approved to award contracts. But if we are going to go down the road of saying, yes, we want the work to start this year. So we want to get some contracts issued, site, concrete, steel, the MEPs, things like that. What we were planning on doing is we've already, for the past couple of years, we've had our all the bids based upon the contractors holding the pricing. I think we used to do 90 days. We ratcheted back to either 30 or 45 days because it was, with some volatility, it was helping because the contractors weren't picking up all that risk. So I would say that for the contracts that we feel are critical that need to be released early on to keep the bookends of the schedule in line, we would keep that duration of time. However, for the ones that we say, all right, we don't have to award them right away, and we can wait the month, 5 weeks, I don't know, as Jack said, we have to figure out how much time the town needs to
Yeah,
get
and
through
we
that
can hold
process.
special meetings to do that, Ryan.
Right. Those bid packages would have a term in there that said, you need to hold your bid price for whatever it is, 90 days, 120. We need to know what that number is so that we can make sure that we're getting that it's based correctly. So if we have to wait for the referendum,
Right.
that those numbers held.
So just to be clear, we still have to get all the numbers back so we know if we're over budget. So all these packages need to go out and come back at the same
Right.
time.
Exactly.
It's just the amount of term.
That-
So we still, before any of this goes out, we need to establish what the timeline is for the referendum
Exactly.
before we
Right.
can do anything. So who's owning that piece?
If I could ask a question, I thought we were putting some packages out early.
Right.
And so what is the bid schedule for those early packages and then the base packages?
So the early packages are the ones that we've been, the early procurement. Those are the ones where we went to the PCR. Our follow-up was on the 5th of July. And that at this point, we're waiting for the state to issue us that letter saying you are approved to bid.
Okay, so
At that
so
point,
for instance, what do you anticipate? You anticipate getting those back August 1st?
I don't know exactly the duration of time that Mark had set for that. I don't think it's more than it's probably a 2 to 3 week bidding period, but that's limited scope. That's the ductile
So let's
iron
say
pipe.
August 15th. So say you're going to get the prelim, just so we
Yeah.
just have some groundwork. So say it's August 15th with those first packages. The second group of packages, which is the balance, is going to go out for bid and be due sometime in the middle of September.
No, no, because we're talking about going to a PCR. Now, do we have a tentative PCR date, Jack or Justin?
No, Bob is going to be on vacation part of August. He was supposed to have his schedule sent to us so that we could work around and pick dates where he's going to be in the office. His admin has not yet sent us those dates he's available for August. But the plan review would be sometime in August. If we were out to bid, let's just say September 1st for talking purposes, then we've got, at least a 3-week bid period plus scope reviews and then come back to you with a number. So sometime in October.
Okay, but so you're going to get the first ones, what do we say, August 15th? You're going to get the
Second one.
complete packages. You're going to get the bids. Not just the scope review. You're going to get the bids by October 1st.
End of
Then
September.
you've got to
October,
put together some numbers. So you're going to be sitting on those early bids from middle of August until probably November 1st.
Well, the intent for those early procurement packages for the roofing contract, as well as the electrical gear, et cetera, was to issue contracts as soon as we got the numbers in.
Immediately, yeah.
Right.
So
But
we'll
that's
we'll
what
commit.
Ryan is asking.
We'll commit
That's
that
what we're gonna do.
roughly. I think conversationally we were talking, $1.5 million as the value of that group of contracts. Then we go out for the big contracts, the full renovation scope, and let's say it's the end of September when we know that number. Then we'll have everything on the table and we can compute our projection, give it to the Board of Finance or whoever's going to run the referendum, and they can start the clock moving as far as warning for that.
I
But
can tell
realistically,
you,
that's not going to be probably until November 1st.
Right.
I can tell you,
We've been
you
told.
want to lay this out here so we understand.
Yeah, we've been
So
told
then you're
that
going to go to
there's-
referendum probably sometime in early December. I would bet it's going to take them that long.
Yes, we were
And it
told that
depends
there's no
upon
room
the
on
amount.
the,
They may
there's no
not, they
room.
may not go out for referendum. Maybe just tell you, go ahead and move.
Okay.
We don't know that for a fact.
I believe
Well,
O&G had bid terms on the early release package of 60 days. So
Yeah.
we should theoretically have round 2 before they have to award round 1.
Well, Mike, I know we have those terms in it, but the problem is if we wait that full 60 days, it's likely that may hold up the work
hold up the whole project.
because we need to release that because we know those are very long lead items like the roofing and piping. So we can do that. However, it's not necessarily going to benefit us for carving out these early packages if we sit on those before awarding them.
The expectation seems to be you're gonna want to award those sometime mid-October,
Right.
No,
or mid-September.
Early September.
Well, if you're gonna receive them by the 15th of August, roughly, by the time you get it, it's gonna be,
yeah,
or
I
second
mean, some
week.
of them are right. Some of them, I mean, these are pretty
Mid-September.
straightforward bids
Yeah.
because some of them, they're simply material,
Right.
right? The people that are just bidding widgets. The only one that's really a labor and material package is the roofing package.
Right.
Okay.
So again, so who's owning getting a firm date from the town on the referendum so we can send out the bid packages?
Come fire or flood, I will have a commitment on that information before your August meeting.
It's going to be the Board of Education is going to have to go to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance will go to the Board of Selectmen. Tom, Roy, correct me if I'm wrong, and that's normally is a procedure for a referendum. Is that correct?
Yeah, it would go through the Board of Selectmen, exactly.
Right. So, and we can move that along pretty quickly. Once we get the numbers, we can move it within, they can call special meetings like we call special meetings, just for
Right, but
that
they're
one
not-
item alone.
Right, but they're not going to do it unless we're pressuring them to.
Well, fine, we can pressure them. That's not a
Right,
problem.
and that's
We
what I want to
can-
know
we
is who
can-
owns that.
We can pressure the Board of It as the Public Building Committee because we want to get the project moving. But then secondly, the Board of Education can push them even hard because it's their project. So they got two groups pushing them. So I don't see a problem there, Ryan.
Just a
Yeah,
point
but it
of,
sounds to me like you're gonna get, basically, you're gonna get the balance of the contracts awarded probably
Right.
late December. At the
I would
earliest.
say it's probably right.
At the earliest.
So, John, does that mean that I'm hearing that we're probably not going to have shovels in the ground this year?
Well, it depends. If we award the
Depends.
site contract, you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, depends.
But we're gonna be at risk in the sense that if the referendum doesn't go through, I mean, the town's gonna have to ante up the balance.
Depends
or
on what it
you
is.
cut
With the
something out
phase
of the
one
job.
project, we get it started right away. You're already started.
But wait, I thought I heard that our early packages were just materials, not labor.
I think there's a
Phase
site one, isn't there?
Phase 2 would be awarded mid to late October. It would be phase 3, which would cover whatever isn't captured in the initial referendum value,
Right.
like FF&E stuff towards the end of the project.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jason, you had a question?
Just a procedural question. Does the Board of Ed have to ask the Board of Selectmen to take this up, or can we directly, as the building committee, make that request?
I believe you can do that directly, but what I'll do is I'm going to put together a little schedule. because
Good.
I think we're going to be aiming to do this as part of the November vote anyways. And what I'll do is I'll get back to the committee with what information we need when to make sure that the two parallel paths
Good.
come together properly.
Good. Thanks, Tom. That would be very, very good. Very helpful.
Well,
Yes.
Tom,
John.
the initial
If I could
information,
make a suggestion also. In other words, I think at the next meeting we have, we should lay out these dates as to the different bid packages. They may be tentative, but just to lay it out so we have some
Some
sort of
idea.
expectation. Yeah.
Yep.
John,
Yeah.
wasn't it my recollection that we don't have room on the ballot to put this on in November?
that's what we were told. The Board of Ed, investigated, since it sounds, since we were
Oh, good.
informed that we couldn't spend $1 beyond the original amount without a new referendum. First question was, well, can we get on the ballot? And they said with whatever technology they're using, there's not, with all the other items that are on already for the November ballot, there wasn't room to add this. So we would have to have a separate vote.
Tom, any comment on that?
Yeah, let me do this. Let me get confirmation of that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
So this is one area in which I actually can bring some of my expertise. It wouldn't be on that ballot anyway. Referendums aren't part of an election ballot because, for example, property owners that are not electors can cast ballots. So what they can do is hold a simultaneous referendum and election that day
I mean, that's what
with
they
a
do.
separate document.
Okay.
So I
That's-
would explore that further before we dismiss that out of hand.
That's normal. Yep.
Thank you for that. Well, I'll work with Tom and we'll make sure that we coordinate the right information and he can be the conduit to the right people.
Right.
And
Sounds
we'll
good.
see if we can expedite that for election day.
And what I will do too for our next meeting is I'll have Mark prepare a list of what we believe to be the bid packages that we feel
Yes.
have to go in that first
First group.
release to make sure we keep construction going, and then which are the bid packages that we don't necessarily have to take action on until after you get that referendum vote without affecting
Good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fine. That sounds good. Any other questions?
Just while we're on the referendum, making sure that we have all the numbers and bid packages in place. So if the geothermal alternate is still being considered, that is part or can be part of the referendum.
That's a separate item. Lucian,
Well, this,
it's identified as Justin, it's an alternate, right? Geothermal?
yes, right.
Yeah, so we'll have, our bids will all have that broken out.
Right.
I think
Lucian,
my-
you have a
So-
question?
this ad service that we have for we're paying for the design team and the construction manager, construction administrator. This includes all this time until November or whenever we start construction, correct?
Yes.
We will not see another additional services.
Right, at this, for O&G, I can't speak for Tech Dot. I think for us, this puts us through, I forgot what that attachment was, I think it was through November, meaning
Right.
that the current trajectory, we believe, is that come November, we've got our contracts issued. Again, if it spills over a little bit, I'm not gonna worry about it, but if something happens and all of a sudden we're talking about this process dragging out into 2023,
Let's hope not.
Well, we are talking about referendum and they will approve funds and whatnot in November at best. So at the beginning of November. So I don't see you can have contracts if we don't have the money approved, right?
Yeah, but Lucian, we're then moving to the construction phase and theoretically those 24 months start.
Right.
So, it's,
Contract?
Yes.
well, yeah, that's
Yes.
what we're talking about.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're talking about awarding early contracts. If you do award the site, you're going to mobilize, the construction
Get up
phase
and running.
starting to kick in.
Right.
But we have money for the site. I think we were talking about additional funds if the project is over budget.
Right.
So
I
we
think-
will
Let's
we
get,
will award the
so we
site
know where we're at.
whatever contracts we have, the ones that we are bidding now. But the ones that we are bidding in September and we get the results whenever we are getting them. We don't have the money for that. If we don't have the money, how can you get a contract?
well, but say there's $30 million of bids that come in what is called phase 2, right? That's all the construction work with the exception of the roofing and these few material items that we're doing now. Is the committee going to be allowed to award contracts up to, say, 15, 18, $20 million of that prior to getting the referendum passed?
Right.
If that's possible, then I believe we can keep the
Possible.
construction of the project on its trajectory and not elongate. But if that's not possible,
That's
then
possible.
it's likely then you're not going to start
We've done that
project
before.
when
That's
you want to.
possible. That point of it is possible up to the end. Then whatever goes on beyond that, it's got to be, and I keep calling it an addendum. So we handle it as an added items to the package. And here's the
Has
money.
the board of
That decision's
finance
outside
said
of
that
our committee.
specifically?
Pardon?
Has the board of finance said that we will be able to award prior to securing the money through the referendum?
Yeah, we've got the money. The
Okay.
money is ours. Yes.
But you don't have all
The
the
additional,
you don't have all the money. We don't
We don't
have
have all the money, but the
$2
money we
million
have, we can spend.
But you don't finish the project. So I will start the house and I don't put the roof. I put the roof, but I don't have the windows.
We need this clarified.
I mean, because if that's not how it is, then I don't think you have the ability to take the bids and then go to a
Right.
referendum. You're going to have to go to a referendum based on what we've been
First,
estimating.
no.
But Dave, I
Yeah,
thought we were
because
just
nobody's
told
gonna
that
hold their
the
price.
state said it had to go the other way.
As far as the incremental grant support from the state, they will not revise the project budget for grant purposes until we have the bids in hand.
Right.
So to give an example from another client, their bids came in over. They chose as a municipality to say, go ahead and issue the contracts. There was still enough money in the project budget by saying, we're not buying furniture and technology this year. We're buying it later in the project. There was cash that they could apportion to the construction line. And then they went through their legislative body and got the approval for the increment. And then with that on the record, they are now turning to the state for the state to amend the budget. So as long
that
as
before,
in your case, in order, you're authorized to spend up to the current referendum value.
Right.
Again, in respect to Lucian's concern, it is the question of, well, we're going to get a little bit pregnant. Well, you're not a little bit pregnant, you're into the job. And as Lucian says, you don't want to build the house and not be able to put on the roof. But presuming that the amount over budget is proportional to what we saw in the previous estimate, and there's enough money for downstream activities like for furniture and technology to shift that into the construction line item for now, and then backfill the budget via the second referendum, then all of these things can happen, especially with the fact that the early release of contracts, could be as little bit as the site concrete and steel, which is not going to be 98% of the construction value. It's going to be a much smaller percentage. And then if we deferred issuing those contracts to closer to the 90 or 120 days after bid, then by that time you'd have the referendum results, especially if this mechanism of getting a concurrent referendum vote on election day, that's the best case scenario. That's very positive.
And Jack, just one thing, just for clear, I think that, as a minimum for those contracts, it will be site concrete and steel, but it is going to be all your MEP trades too, because until they're released, there's no coordination that starts or anything. Yeah. So, I mean, there's, again, I want to warn people, it's not a small amount of the project amount that we would need to release before the referendum to make sure that the project stays on that 24-month duration.
Right. Otherwise, you're going to get ahead of yourself.
Good, Mike.
Right. Exactly. Whoever said that, right. At some point, you're going to have a building that's waiting for those subsequent trades to get their materials there to do their work.
Mike, another question, Mike?
Yeah, it's my understanding that as part of the being over budget process, the Board of Finance wrote a letter to the state dictating the terms of what we are allowed and not allowed to do.
No.
The Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen took action to approve the amount that we were over budget after the design development estimate, the 1.3 million-ish. We brought that information to the state saying, here is the municipality's statement of ability to pay. Does this expedite your decision to help us out? And in that intervening time when we were going to the boards at the town level, the state had further discussions internally and said, we can't do what we thought we could do. We can only do it once when you've got the real number in hand.
Right.
So that was
that decision by the state invalidate the letter that the town had written?
It does not invalidate the letter. And if the town uses that, as further backup, to show the voters that, you have the wherewithal in order to pay for it, that's fine. But bond counsel confirmed, I think it was at a Board of Selectmen meeting. Jason wasn't there, but Neil was. I believe the confirmation from the attorney was that that's all well and good that you have the money that you can commit, However, the terms of the referendum that passed last year were that you can only spend that amount of dollars, even if the town has got money sitting around, you're not authorized to spend that additional dollar or $1.3 million or whatever it is until the referendum goes through.
So I guess my question is that opinion or whoever is making that decision, are they okay with us starting the process if that does not guarantee a completed project? We need that direction before we proceed. It's not this committee's decision to make.
And that would be either a Board of Selectmen or Board of Finance.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one would be.
question.
Well, the
Just to
Board of
confirm.
Selectmen would go to the Board of Finance. The Board of Selectmen will then come back to us to say, okay, you got 50 cents more to spend. Go ahead.
If I could, I think
Go ahead,
there's
Tom.
I think there's two separate things. And I was at that Board of Selectmen meeting where this was discussed. When this went to referendum in a couple years back
God.
now,
Yeah,
that dollar value was the maximum dollar value the project can be before it needs to go back to referendum.
right.
Because that's all the voters approved could be spent on it, regardless of where the funding comes from.
Right.
The second question is, I believe we can bid projects. I don't believe we can award projects prior to the approval of the second referendum, assuming it's necessary. But I can ask our town attorney that question as well.
Double check. I think we can up to a certain point.
So if that's the case and the project does come in over budget, we're not starting in November.
We don't know yet. That's a question we have to find out, Mike.
Well, I think if that is the concept, then wouldn't that mean that we couldn't even award this
Right.
enabling, this early package work?
No, we got to find that out, Mike. Tom, if you go through the town attorney on that question, would be most valuable to us, and we can get us out to know that as soon as possible.
That's a very high priority. We should
high
try to get
priority.
that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll send it
with
to him
the-
tonight.
With the understanding that if the answer is no, all these escalation costs that we just approved are
They're
going
going
up further and probably significantly.
Right. Yeah, Tom's in.
Probably
he
by
knows where we are.
4 months or so.
Yeah,
Right.
he's in. Tom's got the information. He'll get that through our town attorney and Board of Select, or basically the town manager at this point. And let's see where we're at. Okay? Anything else? Tom, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. If you do that for us, we appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So
Are we
moved.
gonna decide, are
Third?
we gonna decide on the August meeting?
August 1st is set right now for our next meeting, unless something comes up in the meantime that we need to meet earlier, or we have to push out August 1st to August 21st or something.
It just sounds like, because again, it sounds like, Mike, to your point of having a week to review the documents, it sounds like the review of the construction documents is not a problem, but we won't have an estimate to publish to you until at least the end of the day
End of the day,
on the 27th.
right. So let's
So
get our
that-
first.
so that's
meeting
not
first.
going to give you a week before the August 1st
No,
meeting. So
let's get our first meeting. Let's take this first meeting first and we'll go from there.
Or do we want to just push the August meeting to the 8th and
Well, want to
and
push it, that's,
be secure in the date?
Do we
Ready?
have a quorum issue for the 8th?
I have no idea.
Well, Mike, you had traditionally expressed you needed a week for the CDs. Do you need a week for the CDs and the estimates, or is getting the CDs a week at a time and then getting on the 27th the estimates? Is that sufficient in your mind?
The estimate's probably fine if
Okay.
we're gonna get it. The CDs, it's, they're not gonna change at this point, so any review is just for commentary.
Okay, all right, let's move on here. All right, let's set August 1st. If something comes up, we can always make a call and change it to change the supplemental to change it to August 11th or something or whatever, if we need to.
August 8th.
August 8th, yeah, but let's shoot right now for the 1st. Our regular meeting date, first Monday of the month. If something comes up, we don't have enough information, you're shaking your head, Lucian. You want to make the 8th, make it a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for the 8th.
You have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. There's a motion on the floor for August 8th for our next regular meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Just note that I'm going to be out of town, so if you can
Okay.
get a quorum, great,
Yep,
but I
okay.
won't be available.
Yep, let's vote for yes or no. August 8th, yes? 1,
Aye.
2, 3.
I mean, unless, I mean, does anybody have an issue with making it later in the week so Ryan can attend later in the first week of August? Do we have to do a Monday?
Let's keep it the first Monday. Okay, so the motion is
Are
passed.
you
Our next,
available? Are you available that week?
we have a motion on the floor. We've taken the
All
vote.
right,
The motion has been passed. All right, all those in favor said it was passed. So as far as I'm concerned, the motion is our next meeting will be August 8th via Zoom. If there's something comes up before then, we'll get back to you for a special meeting in between or extend it beyond that if we can go beyond, if we have to. Is that okay? All right. Motion to adjourn? So moved. All in favor? Aye, aye, aye. Okay. Thank you very, very much, everybody. Have a good few weekends here, and hopefully we'll talk to you before, and hopefully we'll move ahead and get this project moving on a build basis. And Tom, we appreciate whatever information you get to me right away.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thank
good night,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Night,
Good
everyone.
night.